Hey guys, welcome back to this particular platform. And as always, I am grateful for each of you who've taken the time to sit under this particular platform and to receive well the messages that our Father in Heaven downloads to me and I then share with you. And so, as always, we will start with a verse for the week, which I have been in Deuteronomy 8, verses 7 through 10. And it reads, "For the Lord our God is bringing you into a land of brooks of waters, of fountains and springs flowing out of the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land in which you will eat bread without scarcity, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper. And you shall eat and be full, and you shall bless the Lord your God with the good land that he has given you." And so when you think about that aspect and what it means entirely, he's going to give you something that's so plentiful and so good that you will have enough to be able to do all that you'd ever dreamed and beyond some. And not only are you going to be put in a position to help others and to be able to give back to others, but you're also going to be put in a place for you to be able to glorify him and honor him with everything that he's positioned you to receive. And so you're not going to receive this by your own strength. And so this leads us into our lesson for the day, which is the message of pretty little lies equate to ugly destruction. And so when I was given this particular word, several different keys came from it. The first being, remember that the master of manipulation, deception, and lies will and does present pretty little lies. You take the bait and then wham, it's a snowball effect, guys. So it's one of those things where it doesn't start large. It always starts very, very small, very minimal. It's not something that's being presented as a something that you would look at and then you see it and you notice something that's just off. It's going to start as something that's small. A lot of times this is why it's the manipulation of it being so easy for you to fall into that repetitive cycle, because it starts as something small. And so the snowball effect, as time goes on, the truth about the lie dressed up to be pretty is suddenly revealed. And a lot of the times this is going to bring forth shame. It's going to bring forth separation, anxiety, depression, all of these different things, because now this one thing that you thought was something minute that now turns into the snowball effect, and it just kind of morphs into something that's way larger. You now have suddenly revealed it to everybody. It's not little anymore. All of a sudden that little thing is now so big that everybody everywhere you go can see it. And so it has you sucked into this cycle of manipulation. And so it suddenly reveals. So it starts with manipulation. So for those of you that are struggling with this actual area, you need to start to dissect everything that comes your way, because it does come dressed up a lot of the times like it's going to be something that's good, that's going to be something that's beneficial to you. But at the same time, this is why you're told and you're instructed to test the spirits, to test or question everything that someone brings to you. That's just like on this platform. I always tell you guys, make sure that whatever messages you receive from me, you are able to take it back to our Father's instructions, his word, standing on his truth, because that's what I deliver the messages off of. It comes directly from him. So I don't have a reason for you to go back and check anything against what I say. And so, as a messenger too, I have to understand that a lot of the times when people aren't ready to receive messages, when people aren't ready to deal with the things that they have that are problematic in their life, a lot of times it flares up. It causes friction. And I just did a message on that previously, and how the friction creates that static, and it's just that shock factor. And so then you spew things that you don't necessarily want to spew, but at the same time, you're offended by the things that pierce your spirit, which is what we know the truth of the word does. And so you have to start discerning things. You have to start accepting things for what they truly are, and not be deceived by something that's dressed up because it soothes your ailment for a temporary time. And so the second point that was given was everything that glitters isn't gold. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's not. So you think about a piece of foil. You have a piece of foil and it may shimmer in the light of the sunlight. But at the same time, just because it sparkles doesn't mean that if you go over there and you pick it up, it's going to be gold. It's not worth the same quality or quantity or even material gain that a piece of gold that you find would be if you took it to a person that is going to actually weigh that substance, that metal, because we know that if it's an actual piece of gold, that is a precious metal. And so you knowing that everything that glitters isn't gold will allow you to not be able to fall for these tricks and things that look like it's something good, looks like it's something that's going to be able to manipulate you into having something that's chaotic from the snowball effect, from it being able to deceive you. And so the enemy has gold plating and he changes the presentation of it for it to be appealing to you, and then he charges top dollar for a fraud, for a fake, for something that you thought because it appeared to be something that it's not. And this may be your family, this may be your career, this may be your spiritual well-being, this may even be your health, your physical well-being, your ability to say no, or even your safety. Because a lot of the times that death component, guys, is mixed in there. It doesn't come right up front. That's just like the portion that I just said. It doesn't come by the way of it being structured in a sense that says, hey, if you try me or if you partake in me, then I am definitely going to kill you. No, it says, hey, well, take one drag, take one hit, take one drink. I'll just sleep with me once. And then it opens up all of those different spiritual wounds and spiritual ties that are going to turn into that snowball effect, that turn into other things. And so remember that he presents it and he charges top dollar for it. And a lot of times that's going to involve portions of who you are, the pieces of you that were never meant to be able to be given to someone outside of how our Father in heaven intended for you to give it or distribute it. This is why he says we are holy temples. You are to keep your temple pure and holy. And so being mindful of your speech, being mindful of all of your gateways, your eyes, your ears, what you say, what you do, the things that you do and you create with your hands and your spiritual gifts and your abilities. All of that is a part of him making sure that you are being utilized as a holy vessel. And so then this led to the next portion of this same area, with everything that glitters being not being gold. And he presents moissanite as a diamond, which does not equate to or hold the same value. And so I was actually led to James 1:12. And for those of you that are here, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and grab your word, because you should always feast your eyes on anything that I'm reading you, so that you know that I am actually quoting scripture and you're feasting your eyes on it. So that means you're reading it yourself, because you're instructed to do that. And so as we go through James, let's get there. As we go through James 1:12, and it reads, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. And so we know that if we love him, and that trial that we stand, we're able to go through all of these different areas where it's not us compromising who we are, but instead you're standing the test of time to be able to receive the crown that all of the struggles were linked to, that all of the things were testing you in and refining you from, so to speak, or removing the blemishes, or we'll just say building you up, positioning you, preparing you. All of these areas and components are what James 1:12 is leading you towards. And so when you dissect the gift, the kingdom of darkness, it can come with a hidden the skies, appearing to be everything that your heart desires. So you think about that moissanite. It appears to be a diamond. A diamond holds great value. It is a precious gem, not a precious metal like gold, but it's a precious gem. And so in this sense, with it being a precious gem, it now holds weight. It holds value. It's something that is valuable. It's just like under that pressure, it creates, that coal turns into something that's so beautiful that your heart starts to desire it. It's no different than the way that it was created with all of that in mind. It has to go through transformation. It has to go through transitions. The same with your spiritual being. And when you're called and you're equipped, you're anointed, and now you're assigned. And so all these different areas, you have to remember to dissect the gift so that you're not deceived, you're not manipulated, you're not led into something that that looks like it's glitter and it turns out being gold plated. And so glitter shines, but gold shines too. They both can have the same tint or color schematics, but at the same time, one is only valuable unless you're doing art. And so dissect the gift and be mindful that he listens, he hears prayers, and he responds too, especially if he feels it during a pressurized circumstance. And so when I'm talking about I'm talking about Satan himself. He hears you. This is the only way that he has access to anything in your life. He has to have access. He has to be granted authorization and permission. This is why with certain entities and spirits and demonic entities and all of these different factors, the kingdom of darkness has to have access points. He has to have the invitation. This is why we tell you you're told to guard your gateways. The things that you listen to, you have to choose to listen to it. The things that you choose to see, you have to choose to feast your eyes upon it. The things that you choose to put your hands to, you have to agree to work or do it. The task that's associated with it. And so it's all related. He has to have access. So when he's listening to the prayers that you're praying and responding to the prayers that you're praying, he dresses these things up to try to come in and to intervene and maneuver and cause that hindrance. And so when he's listening during these pressurized circumstances, such as your issues with your family, your finances, your career, your relationships with our Father in heaven, all of these aspects are considered, and it causes them to mix and to mingle and to confuse you. And so when you have these different components, it's the cycles. It's the cycles that are repetitive. It's the life that you're being taught to live by your way of responding to the things that he is now bringing to your forefront in all of these pressurized circumstances. So instead of you allowing yourself to transition to this beautiful gem now, you are transitioned to something that's broken and something that appears to be invaluable. But remember that with our Father in heaven, all things are possible. And so it's just like what I incorporated in one of my previous lessons, which talked about one of the things that I heard in one of my devotions that was so beautifully described was, our Father in heaven has the ability to take the clay in the broken jar and mold it into something that is so beautiful, something that's a new masterpiece, something that is able to be used out of something that was broken, that someone left as rubble. And so your scriptural practices and how you choose to not be deceived is going to be all of the takeaways when these pretty little lies that equate to the pretty little to the ugly destruction that comes about from all of the manipulation practices and tactics that the enemy brings and desires that you have in your life. And so as you go through the day, remember about the land that our Father desires to give you from our verse. Remember that this comes with a great responsibility of you being able to discern and decipher how you're to utilize it, how you're to move, how you're to maneuver, how you're to deal with the different challenges of life through prayer, through fasting, through making sure that you stand on faith when it's nothing for you to be instructed in doing. and how you are to just believe by faith that our Father in heaven is going to be the one that does it for you, that you don't have to try to do things by your own strength or by your own might, because at the end of the day, he's the one that's in control. He's the one that's going to bring the rain. I just did a message for that too. He's going to be the one that sends the rain. And when he sends the rain, it hydrates the soil. When the soil is hydrated, the bud is able to spring forth. When the bud springs forth, then it releases the seed. When the seed is released, you now have something for the next season for you to go and plant. But then from that same seed and that harvest turning into a beautiful tree, now you have that harvest season and now you're able to eat. And from that bread that you're eating, you're now able to feast. And from that feast, you're able to have joy. And from that joy, you are able to be led into prayers of thanksgiving, honor, and praise. And then you're also feeding, and you're starting to present that effort for the kingdom purpose. And so it all goes connected, hand in hand, guys. It's all connected. So don't be discerned. Don't be fooled by the master of manipulation, but instead be full of discernment so that you have the wisdom to move forth, so that when you receive your good land, it doesn't turn into a wasteful land. You do exactly what you've been instructed and what it was purposed for when it was given to you. And so that you don't miss out on the promise. And as now I'm just being led to just talk about the Exodus. When you are entering into the wilderness, let it be that short period of time of transition into you receiving your requisition, your claim, your land, your official land claim to the use of the property and land. And then you utilize that in turn for the very things that you know you were supposed to be receiving it for altogether. And so that's the message for today, guys. And as always, I pray for each of you before you get here, nothing but the best of success in all things heavenly, in every area and capacity of who you are and whose you are, and for the purpose. And as always, guys, if you feel led to visit the link in my bio, please do so and reach out to me for those specific prayer requests. As always, comment your testimonies, comment the areas or the things that spoke to you. And as always, take it back to our Father in heaven and pray and ask him what it is that he desires to take you, to give you from this particular message. Ask him what is it that he wants you to resonate with. Ask him if it's something in specific that he led you here for. Ask him if it's someone that he's placed on your heart to share this message with. And so as always, guys, take it back to him, because I'm but the messenger. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next message. Until then, guys, take care.